start with how'd you get into music?
Oh, wow, what a question. That is, I guess, best taken all the way back to band class. Started in fifth or sixth grade in Pickle Catholic band program with Elaine Schwiller-Snyder, who everyone
Oh,
knows is a
that's a
fantastic
common
band
name.
director. Yeah, and she got me my start. I was really excited. We were supposed to pick one of the wind instruments, so I picked trombone
Oh,
and did a couple years on trombone. And then when it was time, I think my brain was telling me it was time to try something different. And my parents very fortunately said, well, pick a different instrument instead of, oh, go ahead and quit band or something. So picked a different instrument, which was drums. We had a couple drums in the basement because my dad was a drummer.
oh,
He
wow.
went to high school, and he and my mom even played in the alumni band for years, and we got to see them as kids. And so that was pretty cool. But then I just took percussion and finished all the high school years and did marching band in high school, of course, and then went off to college at Miami and decided to major in physics.
Yeah, I see how that works.
Um, but yeah, beyond that, I did the physics thing. I was a math and science kid, I think, as well as music. And so I took a semester's worth of physics and all the math classes and stuff. And I was in the marching band at college. I was so excited to make the Miami marching drum line. And so I was on the drum line, still getting to some musical experiences. And I think it just sucked me right back in. My first or second semester of college, I realized it was time to go for music.
Oh, and it's neat that you could make that switch.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky that my parents were supportive. I only had a small part of my time at Miami already dedicated that way, so I was able to maneuver it and make it
Right.
work and finish a percussion degree. And so I have a music education degree from Miami.
So your parents being musicians, because I know a lot of the times we see kids, and I've seen a lot of them where they didn't get enough music education. I mean, they were in band and everything, but they didn't when they got to their senior year and they had to do an audition. There were a lot of things missing, and that's one of the things we hope down here to start, getting lessons or introducing things that kind of fill those gaps, so that if you have a talented student, that they can go, and do an audition and be on par with everybody else.
Sure, at least confident that they have seen all the sort of same things. I mean, I certainly felt that way a little bit. There's always the other students in the music department who came from big fancy high schools who, oh, we played this song in high school, and I'm going, wow, this is all so new and amazing. But that didn't bother us too much. We kind of all knew we came from different backgrounds, but it was fun to be all in one place and making music together.
Oh, that's now okay. So you got your degree. And
Yes.
then you started teaching? Is that what you did? Or
So,
did you then go for how do we progress to where we are today?
well, thanks. Yeah, I started looking for job opportunities. I was teaching some private lessons, like you mentioned, and didn't find that sort of first job that hit me right in the face after college, although did look around a little bit. And I guess my private lesson teaching sort of became my income there
Yep.
at first, and then decided within a year to head to a master's degree. And I chose Eastern Kentucky University, where they have a really, really fantastic professor of percussion, Jason Kuntz. And so in my Miami time, I had heard about this guy, and there were students who came from my Eastern Kentucky down to Miami and vice versa. And so I was lucky enough to do an audition, and he brought me in as a graduate assistant. So I did that thing for 2 years
That's
and got my
great.
master's in percussion performance.
Right. I was going to ask if that is so. You have a master's in performance and your music education undergrad.
That's right.
And now you taught in Florida for a little bit, right?
Right. So after the master's degree, I had just a lot of great experiences. One of which is, of course, steel band. I learned the steel band art form, or the pan instrument at Miami, and then also was able to continue to play it at Eastern Kentucky. And it was one of those things that in my head, it was like I probably should I felt like I needed to teach steel pan at some point, steel band. And so after my master's degree, I found a job up actually near Miami University, up near Oxford. So my
Okay.
wife and I head up and we moved back to Oxford, which was kind of surreal. And I did 1 year as a middle school general music teacher, which was a great way to cut my teeth. And
I
I
was
got
gonna say, oh, wow. I mean, I could see elementary, I could see high school, but middle school, that's
it's a special age. But yeah, I did it was at Edgewood Middle School, and I got to work with the high school band a little bit and did all the things that you might do as a new teacher. And within that first year, I started getting word from sort of friends in the business, I guess,
yeah.
about this job opening in Florida, possibly in Tallahassee, Florida, at a steel band who had been established for 20 years at that point. And it was only a couple classes, but I'd be able to take another class. So I took 3 pan classes, steel band, and then 1 class of intro guitar. That was my first
Oh,
job in Florida.
wow.
And so I ended up in Tallahassee, Florida for 8 years.
Well, and then he came back. So you're
I did.
now Cincinnati, right? Yep.
That's right. The Tallahassee thing was fantastic. Obviously, teaching somewhere for 8 years, you get a lot of, you're entrenched in the culture, and you're part of the community, and all those great things that happen. We actually blew the program up into many, many bands. I was actually teaching 7 classes in a row for a
Oh,
year.
wow.
Every single bell was a steel band class, a different set of 25 that came in, which was amazing, but also hard, kind of hardcore, pretty tiring in ways. But I was super proud to be able to build that program. And then when the time came, my wife and I decided, she's really into the marching band arts, as you probably know, or the
I
marching
did
arts.
hear that. Yep.
And so she and I decided to come back sort of home to Ohio, where the marching band scene is big. There were a couple footholds to get me back into teaching steel band. And so we made it happen.
That's now steel band is, what is it about steel band in particular that just really speaks to you?
That's a great question. So sorry, I was trying to get rid of my beeps in the background.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Steel band is rhythm, sort of a rhythm music in a lot of ways. Of course, there's all the tones and pitches in music, and it's exactly the same as any other music. You can take a steel band and play literally any song from classical to country. But I think what I liked about it was super accessible to me, a drummer. I joined college as a drummer, not necessarily someone who was really, really good at reading the musical notes yet. I was really good at reading rhythms. And so being able to go up to an instrument like the steel drum, steel pan, and just take 2 sticks, tap on 2 notes, and a beautiful 2-note chord came out, and I was able to be part of the band, and I knew all these rhythms already, and so I was hooked.
That is kind of impressive.
Well, thanks. It's awesome that's why the art form is so great to teach to young students. Every year I get students who have never done music in any way, and the first day, here's some sticks, here's the drum, tap on those notes. Hey, find the one that says A, find the one that says C, and they're playing music, and it sounds good on the first day, which is unlike instruments.
I was going to say, my daughter is a flute player, and each of my kids played in band, and actually sounded good when she started. My trombone player, however, the first few notes aren't always pleasant.
It's hard to start on those instruments. Absolutely.
And I think sometimes with kids, I don't think they quite process the fact that you're not going to get an instrument and play your favorite tune right away, that there's work that's involved with it, and that it takes you taking time and being patient. And sometimes all words I would never associate with someone who's like 10, But what is your favorite part about teaching it? Just that the kids get, I don't want to say instant gratification, but the feedback's faster.
They do. And they do get instant gratification, and that is one of the big reasons it is beautiful to me. I like that it's a great way to introduce musical reading, like of actual sheet music, because I think that's an important part of the education process. And again, a lot of the students I start with haven't had band from 6th grade on. They're just like, I want to try steel drums, or I want to try that thing that was cool.
I kind of like that though.
I kind of like it too. In fact, it has led me to create like a method book for steel band classes, because we never really had one that I used. And, there were all these things that I was doing year after year, class after class, and I just wanted to get them down into a place. So that's been a cool side project to get that up and running, which has been successful already.
That's kind of, because a lot of times when you're in music, oh, look, there it is. Let's put that up there.
They're all over me, around me. So
because I think that's what I'm thinking. If you've got a kid that's a junior and wants to play, here it is. Here's an opportunity. It's not like they have to go through.
That's right. And it has everything, like even just how to read and count the notes and the rhythm and all the things that you would need to get through. And then it also uses steel band music as the examples. It doesn't play, no offense, we don't play Mary Had a Little Lamb or Hot Cross Buns. I think it's great to use some of the,
or Hot Cross Buns. That's
right. The island music I like to get into the book a little bit. And so we've tried to do that with the things that are published for steel band.
Plus it's like you said, it has a rhythm to it.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, even just the people who play chords in the music, different instrument types will play different types of parts in the music, and so the people playing chords are often one hand on each note, and they are jamming out on a rhythm to that chord. So they're going both hands at once, and they're going da 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 da, and they're just getting to jam this rhythm, and it's maybe a changing chords midway. But again, excuse me, that was the thing that I got to do first in steel band and loved it.
See, that to me, for someone who likes, I'm not a musician. I had a daughter that was, and let me tell you, that was a learning curve of learning curves.
Sure.
I mean, when you learn that, oh, they need this, really. And then you go to, she kept wearing out her instruments because she was practicing. She just loved it. It wasn't like she was practicing, she was playing. Mm-hmm. So you go and they say, oh, well, you need this. And then you find out that if you chop an arm and a leg off, you probably could afford it. There's a lot of things with this. I think it's a little easier to, okay, yeah, I mean, there is expense to it. I get that, but it's a little easier to enter in also, I would think.
It's really easy for the students to get involved because they can just, like I said, sign up for a class and show up to class. I love the fact that while I did band and after school rehearsals and all that stuff, we generally don't ever do that with steel band because I see them an hour every day, and we get everything done in class. And so a lot of them who have all these after school things really appreciate being able to be involved in something sort of extracurricular, like without, because we of course still give concerts in the evenings and stuff, but they don't have to commit an hour every day after school because that's tough for some.
That is. Have you ever had a student that really surprised you?
Oh, so many. I mean, goodness, hundreds. There are the students who on the very first day can't repeat after me, okay, I repeat this pattern and they can't repeat it. And so, the little red flag is like, okay, let's make sure that student gets it next time or whatever.
Right.
And then, in 2 weeks, they're the best student in the class, or as soon as you say it in a different way, it clicks. And I love that we always have a goal in class. Teaching band is the only way I could do it. And steel band, of course, is my love. But the idea that we always have a performance coming up, we always have a goal. There's always, my lesson plans are, don't tell the principal, but they're always, hey, work on the songs, get better at the songs, reinforce concepts that have to do with the songs.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that makes sense to me.
It does. And we generally, like I said, I want the students to have it be their favorite class as well. It doesn't, obviously sometimes that's not the case and it breaks your heart sometimes, but I like being the teacher who has the fun class. We try to keep it fun, but we are going to make them excellent musicians in the process.
Well, and then you think about what they're having fun, but all the things that they're also learning. I mean, that they don't even know they're learning, they're learning math.
That is exactly right.
they're learning, and that's when we promote the arts. One of the things when we go say we're looking for a grant or something, I keep telling people, I don't think you understand. Music teaches a lot more than what you think it teaches. If you're in a symphony, you don't get to just go do what you want to do. You actually have to, because that would be an interesting concert, to say the least. So they're learning to work with groups. They're learning to socialize. They're learning, my daughter once said to me, and I was like, she said, it isn't just the notes, it's the space in between the notes. And I went, what? It was like, whoa, I don't know if I can process that.
And that's a beautiful thing about it. I tell the students every year, at the end of the year, we have seniors who are sad to be leaving, and they've played maybe steel pan with us for years, and they don't have a drum at home. Most folks don't have a steel drum at home. That's kind of one of those things that's just sort of a school instrument, and so they're sad. But I always tell them, the whole point of this is to have a great time and make music and build the team. I mean, shoot, I've had students call me coach before, which always makes me laugh a little bit, but it is the team mentality.
Yeah.
So I tell them, you have learned how to do a thing in this class. You have learned how to be awesome at this thing. And, the thing I can teach you how to be awesome at is pan, but you now can be awesome at anything.
Right.
You take that knowledge of, okay, we sat on this process and it took a year or 4 years to get to where I am. And I can sort of take that now and transfer it to my other things in life. If I want to get awesome at baseball, if I want to get awesome at accounting, those are the things that really, I hope they hit home with the students. I think they do in various times. I'm always floored to get the message from students years later, those sweet messages that teachers sometimes get from students years later. So I think it matters,
Have you had it? Well, you may not have been teaching long enough, but have you had a student that has gone on further?
Oh man, I have, and it's true. I haven't been at this so long. I guess it's been almost 12 years now, but
maybe you could have one now. Yep.
But yeah, there are, some of my students, like I said, will go on to different fields like science and medical fields. And that's just, I'm always so super proud because you can see them taking like the excellence that they learned maybe with me or helped learn through me, and take that into their life-saving professions. And things like that is always so amazing. Gosh, and then of course, yeah, there are the students who sort of turn into colleagues, and we only have a few, but the thing, I always am involved with the marching bands like my wife is, and so there's a lot of times when a student who's recently graduated starts teaching the marching band at the school they graduated from, and there's this neat little level up where that student becomes a colleague and like a work associate and takes it into the next level. And so yeah, those are just always so special.
I mean, I guess I think through these podcasts, what I want people to see is there's a whole lot more than just, they learned how to play hot cross buns.
That's right.
It's so much more mentally and socially. And some of the job, when I have 2 children that are software developers, and one of the things that got them a step up was the work and creativity through the arts, because it helped them, as does music, think outside of the 9 dots.
That's right.
To connect things that, this and this, well, how about bringing this in? And just that whole thought process of creativity that I think the arts are what is best at teaching.
It's so true. And that creativity, you see it all over the place in different parts of their life. And you also see, like some of my ex-students, another one that comes to mind is that a student is now composing music. Like, I don't compose a lot of music. I feel like I'm pretty good at teaching it, but me composing hasn't been a huge part of my existence. However, yeah, seeing students do that. In fact, some of the students have even come back to like publish music with us. And like I said, we're publishing the method books, and so we're doing some other small publishing, and that's just amazing.
Well, that is, I do think that's amazing. I think it's fun. Other than teaching, I know you have, other things that you work on with your steel pans. And I mean, because it's like your wife, I can see the excitement. I can see you when you read, when you get to a subject that you're passionate about, your whole face lights up.
Right.
And that to me is, I think there's a lot of people you want to say, wouldn't you like a job like this?
It's true. It is true. On the best days, it feels like just playing music, and even on the worst days, you're still playing music.
That's true.
And you figure out all that classroom management stuff along the way. I never expected to be a classroom teacher. I never ever figured like I'm 10 years old and I want to be a teacher. Like that wasn't me, but it made sense as soon as you want to keep doing music for your whole life or whatever your passion is, you get
Right.
involved with it. And so you get involved with music school, and that you're around a lot of music teachers, and that becomes a thing that's really honorable to pass on to the next
It
generation.
is. So what did you envision yourself being? I mean, if teacher wasn't it, right? I mean, because I think it's instructive for people to know that maybe if you're thinking you're going to be an astronaut when you're 10, you may not actually be an astronaut when you're 18.
That's right. Well, we all, I think my mom would be mad if I didn't say this out loud. I think I wanted to design roller coasters. I was sort of good at math and science, and so that stuff made a lot of sense to me, and I loved roller coasters and the whole thing. And so I was like, physics, I'm gonna just math it up and find a way into that field. I guess that was sort of the dream off in the off in dreamland.
And then music came in.
Music came in. One of the oddest moments, I guess, maybe is when I decided to go back to music, or I said say go back. In high school I did so much music, it felt like I was music majoring in high school.
Right.
But when I decided to switch majors from science, it was this moment of realizing that I missed even the bad things about music and being in the music life. Like, okay, I'm preparing for a performance, and so I've got those butterflies and I'm freaking out and I'm so nervous and I just kind of want this to be over and I'm anxious and I'm prepared. But man, like to get to that point was a big process. And when it's done, you have the release of a good performance, or even just that it's over. And
right.
That like internal struggle, I missed it in college. I missed it just going to science class. I missed not having that in my because of music in my life. And so that was like, I think a moment where the light bulb said, okay, you need to go back and pursue more of that. There
is something about live performance. It's and you would describe it, it's getting to an edge. It's when and I've seen, because we present acts as well here. And I've seen a few that have been able to step on a stage and own it. Mm-hmm. The minute their foot hits that stage, and there's one person who's communicating to 700 people, and one person's crying and one person's not. I mean, the music is hitting everybody at different levels and different ways, and it's just unbelievable.
I agree. And I've been lucky enough to perform in so many different types of groups besides steel bands and concert bands and orchestras and African drumming and dancing things where I'm dancing as well as drumming. There's been so many ways, and that cool feeling again never leaves. You know what I mean? It's sort of all encompassing. I don't think you get great at it, but you kind of become more comfortable with it. I wouldn't say I'm a great performer, but one of the cool things about my job is that the director of the steel band generally plays drum set, at least in a lot of my experiences.
Oh, wow.
And so they all have steel drums. They're all at a pan, and I am keeping things together like a conductor would, just with drum set. And so, I mean, don't tell anybody, I'm playing drum set for a living. This is
just, but when you think about this, I want kids to think about that, because sometimes there is a article by I think he's the dean of music in the Boston College of Music, and he wrote a big article about when he told his parents he wanted to become a music major. Mm-hmm. And their thought was, well, there's a waste of a good SAT score. Right. And he goes on to say, no, this is what musicians do. Maybe you're playing the drums, but you don't know what that drum playing is doing for the person who's listening. And you're every much up as a healer, as a physician, just on a different level.
It's a beautiful way to think about it, and it's true.
Or just making them laugh, just bringing joy.
That's right. That's right. The escape from the day, or whatever that person might be taking from the music. It's
It-
beautiful, and it's hard to remember that, sometimes in those tougher days, I try to remind myself of that I'm doing this thing and I'm leading this band, and this might be the best part of their day, the absolute
That's right.
reason they got up. And so if I have a headache or I'm feeling rough that day or whatever, that's always my first go-to. Like, the show goes on, we got to make this happen because it's meaningful.
It's meaningful, and it's a responsibility. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the times we had some kids in here, and I said, art is your way to have a message. Actually, it's your appropriate way to have a message. I mean, I think you guys can figure out all the inappropriate ways to have one, but here's an appropriate way to have a message.
That's right.
It's your voice. It's your, and I never understood that when they talk about people with an instrument, that, there is still an individual sound from you. You may play the steel pans, but someone else is just not going to have the same sound that even on a similar instrument, it's not the same.
The touch is personal, and just like a wind instrument with the breath, and the touch of those sticks on the drum is that magic.
And it's part of what's inside of you when you're playing it as well, correct?
Surely. Yeah. I mean, I think equally nervous sometimes for the performances, even though I've done this 12 years or whatever, and I've been on the stage with all the different groups, and now here I am playing a song I've played before. It's still go time with that group in that moment, and it's it's
here it is.
Yeah, it's intense, but that's the reason I think I love it.
So what do you do? Most teachers I know, music teachers, teach, but they also have, I'm in this ensemble, and you're writing your books and your methods. What other avenues do you have in music?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I am working on that, or I have the published small publishing company with the method book for steel band, and we're publishing some of my friends' original compositions, because I don't, again, I
Oh,
said
that's exciting.
To get some of that stuff out is really cool. I have a community steel band, and so that is folks around my age and my wife's age, where we called up old Miami friends who played in the band with us back in the day, and we said, hey, let's go and get together. And so that's a really fun outlet where it's sort of me and friends in sending out, teaching sort of and directing the thing, but it's me with friends, and so we get to play. And that's a pretty great way. We're trying to kick it back up and do some recordings now here in the last couple months that we've been able to get back together. But I also am playing in like a band that goes out and plays around town, like a small, like a bar band, I guess you'd call it. The Queen City Silver Stars is their name, and
I like that.
A lot of friends, and their music is great. I love it. And so for me to kind of get to come in, and I play extra percussion. So I'm not always drum set. I'll sometimes play drum set, but generally I'm extra percussion. So I congas and shakers and all the stuff.
Wow.
And so it's a really fun outlet where I'm playing along with music I like. I have some freedom, where you don't have to play the exact same thing. You know what I mean? I have that sort of musical freedom a little bit, and it's just a great thing. I didn't do it for so long because I kept so busy with school and school gigs, that this has been really fun. I'm kind of excited for the gigging season to kind of kick back up, hopefully this summer.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, the pandemic has not been particularly kind to the arts.
Indeed. In fact, the virtual teaching that I've been doing is tough at times. We do all the things that we can virtually, but the instruments are at school, and I can't take a 55-gallon barrel over to kids' house and plop it in their living room. And even if I wanted to, not with the group. The group is where it's at. Me teaching groups is the deal. So it's been tricky, but it will be exciting to be back.
I often think about this. When live performance comes back, what will it feel like to stand on that stage again?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm sure it will be glorious. I'm sure I'll have all the emotions of, I'll probably want to cry.
Yes.
However, it'll be a school moment, and so I'll be, I'm sure, like busy with 100 things, and like little Susie forgot her sticks, and
Right.
John forgot his shirt, and all the stuff that goes on
Oh,
with.
yep.
But
Yep.
man, it's going to be awesome. And in fact, we're hoping to do a small concert at the end of the school year this year, since we're
Oh,
about
that's
to be starting back with students in person more often, and so we're hoping to have at least a small little concert.
Oh, that actually is, yeah. I mean, I'm excellent at rescheduling. It was a skill set I did not ever want,
Oh, no kidding.
but and but we do a lot of inside concerts, and and so I've rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled, and it's finally, if I have to reschedule one more time, I think my heart's going to just, it's like one has to stick. Come on.
That's right. Yeah, we're planning for all options. I know, with an end of the year concert, it will either be outside if it has to be. It'll be in the auditorium with spacing, and maybe even live stream if we have to. But I think we got a basically a plan for it. We're trying to have a plan for everything.
But that to me is the song that always kept going through my mind. And let's see if I can remember all the words. Was "The Day the Music Died."
Right.
And I kept thinking to myself, because when you'd hear that before, you go, yeah, like, right, that's ever going to happen.
Right.
And through this whole pandemic, that's the thing that keeps going through my mind is, you know what, it kind of did. I mean, it didn't, but live did for sure.
It did, and it felt like that too. I mean, we were in the middle of the school year, obviously, or 3/4 of the way through the school year last year, and everything just breaks on everything. I was probably, I think, planning for 2 or 3 trips and live performances, and we had a in-person conference with steel band educators planned. I mean, and it was just like in one day everything was off. It was pretty wild.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have one of those. Hopefully we don't experience that again.
No. I think if there's one thing I hope people have really taken to heart during this time is what it means to miss it. What music and performance add to society, and even just somebody's life,
Yeah. I think I hope to see that more and more in students. I think I'm seeing that already with students. We were doing with the steel bands, we had 1 hour a week where we would get a couple students together at a time, just to try to do whatever we could do while athletes were starting to come back. So we were going to try to start doing some little things, and some of those students, even the students who seem like in a normal year they have 100 other things going and they kind of don't care, were saying to me, look, this is the best thing I do every week. This 1 hour of playing the easiest song is just the best thing I do every week. And so at least with this generation of students, it's going to be awesome to hopefully feel that appreciation when we come back for all these things.
Well, think about that, because I hadn't thought about that till you said it. This is a generation that might well appreciate live performance and music way more than every other generation.
It might be true. It might be true when we're able to open stuff back up. I mean, it's going to be hard to find a place to perform.
I
Right?
think that's probably well, and it's starting a little bit, because as we have to reschedule, it used to be you call up your agent and say, okay, look, we got to reschedule this, and you can, no problem getting them.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
and they'd say this is the third one today, or something like this. To now you call them up, my phone's off the hook, you're going to have to pick your date right away. It's really.
Wow, yeah, people are trying to put it in the books so that there's something to look forward to.
But I've also seen an increased cooperation between all aspects of the business. For instance, we aren't yet cleared, as you know, in Ohio, for more than 25% in an auditorium.
Right.
So for me to bring in something, I have to be at 80 or 90%, because if you don't make money when you have it full, you sure can't do it when it's this much full.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think, I'm not even sure where I was going with this, but I think that it's just a big deal to be able to do it again, to get it all scheduled, get people, just add that back to their life.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest, add it back to our lives. I mean,
it's the truth.
It's the
truth. It will be glorious. It will be.
I think so. Well, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark. I got my little I got my signals. I really want to thank you for doing this. Just because I think we get it out there, we get out what art does, we get out more and more examples of you could be in the arts, that there is a path and an avenue.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
all the different faces of the arts, which is kind of fun. And I understand we're going to do I just learned through these that your wife and you and Maureen O'Keefe and Derek Gill all know each other.
Indeed.
And it's amazing to me how so many talented people, it's like this neat little group, and we're going to get you all to do one of these, and we'll just let it run. You guys can chat as long as you want. You can go
That sounds
15
great.
minutes, you can go an hour. So,
It
but
sounds great.
thank you very much for this, and we'll talk soon.
You're very welcome, Ellen. Thanks so much for having
Thanks.
me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.